Meat City, baby.
Hello and welcome back to Meat City Gaming. JD here with another 1000 Gamerscore report. In this video, we're talking about Dragon's Dogma 2. This is the sequel to the original Dragon's Dogma from 2012. Yes, that long ago. This is an action role-playing game, and it's kind of an old school feel. It has crunchy numbers where you need to have certain thresholds in terms of your strength and your ability to deal damage to boss enemies with extremely large health bars who you just chip away at. It can be a 10, 15, 20-minute fight early on, trying to wear down these large towering bosses while you're doing these little minuscule amounts of damage. It is not an instant gratification game by any means. It does feel more like a Dragon's Dogma 1.5 rather than a Dragon's Dogma 2. There's a lot here. There's like way more here. So it's not that you're not getting your values worth, but there's not a ton of innovation. This is very, very similar in a lot of respects to the original Dragon's Dogma, which can be great. If you liked that first one, you're gonna like the second one. The visuals have improved. There's some mechanics that have gotten better in terms of the combat and things like that. But it is a very, very similar game in terms of a lot of the mechanics and the feel. There's no like story continuation. As far as I can tell, there's no overlap at all other than the theme of being the Arisen, of having the Dragon's Dogma. That's it though, in terms of overlap between the two. So you don't need to have played the first one. You're not missing anything in terms of story. The story's fine. It's not like super engaging. There's some lore and some depth there if you want to sink your teeth into it. All in all, it's fine. It's more Dragon's Dogma. I liked Dragon's Dogma. I liked Dragon's Dogma 2, but it didn't like blow my socks off. But let's get to what we're really here to talk about, and that is the achievements. There are 55 of them for that 1000 gamer score. As of the time of this video, there is no DLC, and it seems unlikely that there's going to be any. There was some buzz from the fans of the game going into this convention cycle, like, oh, there's some conferences from the developer coming up. Are they going to announce Dragon's Dogma 2 DLC? And they didn't, not even a little bit, not a whiff. So could it happen? Sure. It seems unlikely at this point. There was an add-on, some DLC, the Dark Arisen for the original Dragon's Dogma, and they very well could do that 2 years from now, who knows, but it seems unlikely. So if you get in and you finish the base game and you get your 1000 gamer score, you're likely to not have to go back and clean this up later with some additional DLC down the road. In terms of completion time, it's a little bit tricky to nail this one down. I mean, 100 hours is a good benchmark. You could probably speed run the game in less if you are following a very detailed and specific walkthrough and you stick to the main story and you only do the side quests that are required for the achievements and you're very well organized. But you're not going to knock that down by much. There is just some time that you need to put in, some grind that has to happen to finish this game. So maybe you could do it in 80 hours. 100, probably comfortable, but you could go all the way to 200. If you back away from the guide, if you embrace the exploration, if you want to go into every cave, if you want to find every piece of loot, if you just enjoy going out and exploring and wandering off the path. Oh, I have a quest, but that trail looks interesting. I'm going to go follow it. There's probably something cool down there. So you could easily get to 200 hours here. So be prepared for an investment. This is not one that you're going to finish in a single week. Only one playthrough is needed, which is great. There is a new game plus. So if you finish the game, if you missed an achievement, you can bring your now powerful, fully geared character into a new game plus, and now you'll be able to kind of steamroll through the game, get to the point at the achievement that you missed, clean that stuff up and move on. But I was able to do everything in one playthrough. I was doing research and checking guides and watching for missable achievements and doing things like that. But it is certainly possible to do in one. There's not like mutually exclusive choices or anything like that that lock you out from an achievement if you pick A over B and then you have to do a second playthrough to do B. That's not in the game, and that's great. There are no difficulty-based achievements. There's no like hard or hardcore mode in terms of the game. There is a casual mode, and that does lock out a couple of achievements. So don't pick the casual mode because then you can't get all of the achievements. But other than that, you just play on normal and then you're good to go. You can get everything. There's no online PvP, combat, or anything like that required. There is a pawn system. So you have your main character and you have a main helper, and your helper can be hired to go into other worlds to help other people, and that can contribute to achievements. But I think you could get away with it without engaging with that. The pawns need to do certain things, and the online sharing component helps, but I think you can still do it all in your own. Regardless, you don't have to engage or fight other players or go into other players' worlds or at all rely on other people in the game. I didn't have any like glitched achievements. There were a couple that were just slightly buggy, not in the preventing you from unlocking them, but there's some that counters that were broken. So like counting the number of people that had affection for you broke, and so I couldn't track that. And some achievements unlocked at weird times where I thought I needed to do 4 things and I'd done the 3rd one and the achievement unlocked before I'd even done the 4th. So a little bit of jank, which is kind of the common thread from Dragon's Dogma, if I recall, and also Dragon's Dogma 2. Just some slightly rough edges, but nothing that was broken or that prevented you from unlocking all of the achievements if you put the effort into getting them done. There are collectibles in Dragon's Dogma 2. It might be the best way that you can do it though. So first, there's a ton of them. It's like 220 what they call Seeker's tokens, and they're very small and they sit on the ground, which is a bit unfortunate because you have to like look at them to see them, and they can be hidden under the lip of a sidewalk or a wall ledge. Like they're very small, which is unfortunate. But of the 220 or whatever the final number is, you only need 80 of them to unlock the achievement. And so that's great. They don't make you find every single one. And there's also tools that make finding them easier. There are skills that you can acquire in the game that will make a little sound go as you get closer, like a hot cold kind of thing. As you get closer to a Seeker's token, you'll hear a chime and it'll get faster and faster as you get closer. There's a skill that when you look in the direction of a Seeker's token, if it's in your line of sight, but like maybe it's just hidden in the grass, so you can't really see it, but you're looking in the direction it is, you'll get a little flash on your screen, which is very helpful. And if you hunt for these at night, which is a trade-off, the world is more dangerous at night, there's more difficult enemies at night, but the Seeker's tokens glow. They give off a little bit of an aura, and now, oh, okay, before if I was looking up on that hillside, I wouldn't know there's a Seeker's token there, but if I look up there at night, now I can see that soft glow. I'm like, oh, okay, there's a Seeker's token there, makes it a little bit easier to track these down. I was able to get 80 of the tokens for the achievement without having to look for a guide in terms of finding these things. If you want all of them, you're gonna have to look one up, and there's in-game incentive to do so. You get like rewarded with gear and items as you find more and more of these Seeker's tokens. But in terms of the achievement, all you need to do is get 80 of them. The biggest tip I may be able to give in the game, if you take something away from this video, it should be this. The first Seeker token that you pick up, remember where you did it. And not only remember it, mark it on your map. The game does have a waypoint system on the map. So, and I would even go one step further. I would recommend making the first token you pick up an easy, accessible location. Like one of the first things you do in the game is kind of wander along back road path to get to the main town. And so your first Seeker's token could very easily be found while you're doing that. And it's in like an out of the way part of the map that there's no real reason to return to. It could be easily lost or forgotten. Maybe if you find one, but it's kind of like that, skip it. Wait till you find one that's like, oh, this one's right outside the gate in the main town. Make that the first one you pick up. Wait and do that. Again, there's plenty of these. You're gonna find them all over throughout the playthrough, so there's no need to like pick up the first one you see. When you pick up that first token, mark the waypoint on your map. You will need it for a quest from the Sphinx. They have a bunch of riddles, trials for you to do. It's tied to an achievement, and one of the things you have to do is go back to the location where you picked up your first Seeker token to get now a new token that's put back in that place. And the quest has an in-game timer on it. It's like 7 days. So if you forget, you can't just look forever and hope you get lucky. You want to be able to go right back to it, pick it up, and get this out of the way. Otherwise, it can void you from getting all of the achievements, and then you'll have to try again in a New Game Plus playthrough. Besides collectibles, what else are we doing? It's a lot of standard fare. Go to a bunch of locations, 50 different dungeons to be exact. Learn a lot of skills. There's what they call vocations. It's kind of your character class, warrior, archer, etc. They're called vocations. Some of them are specialized and hidden and need you to do certain things to unlock them. And there's achievements related to that. Leveling up your achievement to your vocation to maximum level. Standard things on a lot of action RPG fare, but then a lot of weird ones too. Something like, You need to summon a specific type of enemy, a harpy, not encounter it in the wild naturally, summon it, which is a specific item that you need to have and find and carry to do just this, which why else would you think to do that? So you have to summon the harpy, and then when it shows up, you have to jump up and grab its legs, and then it has to try and fly away while you're holding on to it. That's an achievement. There's things like you have to get mugged by bandits while you're put to sleep by an enemy, and then you have to get up and catch the bandit to get the stolen items back. You have to topple a cyclops across a narrow gap that's narrow enough for him to fall across it and make a bridge, and then you have to jump up and walk across him like a bridge, right? Some weird, odd things that you wouldn't think to do that aren't natural, that need certain enemies in certain locations and very specific setups. There is some weird stuff here. If you're not looking at a guide, you're not going to get these all done because some of them are just so hidden and so off the beaten path that you would miss it otherwise. And speaking of missing things, there are a ton of missable achievements in Dragon's Dogma 2. Unfortunately, there are complicated quest chains that have multiple potential outcomes, and if you pick a different outcome, you can lose an achievement. You can prevent yourself from getting it completely. There are items in the game that you can find, and there's only maybe 1 or 2 of them in the entire playthrough. And if you don't know that, you can actually use that item for something else. You can use one as a spell book, and it's an instant cast for a spell. Well, guess what? If you did that with that book, you needed that 10 hours from now to turn in for a quest, and you can't get another one, and you've locked out an achievement. So lots of disappointing, easily missable stuff. And then beyond that, there are certain points in the story that cut off side quests, which are also tied to achievements. So if you get to main story quest A, as soon as you initiate that quest, these 3 side quests that you never knew existed, that you haven't met those characters yet, they're cut off. You can't even do them if you find them now. You have to do them before you get to this story. And there's no, it's not a point of no return where the game's like, hey, finish everything you want to do before you do this because the world's about to change. No warning, no nothing. It can just be you didn't know, you did the story, and now you can't go back and do these other side quests for these achievements later. So lots and lots of missable stuff here. You really need to do some research and stick to a guide if you want to complete all the achievements for Dragon's Dogma 2. For the hardest achievements in the game, I'm going to give you 2 examples here. Dragon's Dogma 2, it's not a hard game. It just takes a grind. So the hero is for 30 Gamerscore, and it's to complete all of the trials in the unmoored world. I think this achievement requires the most difficult combat scenario in the game. And it's not hard, it just is very exacting. You have to fight an enemy that has specific weak points that you have to hit the weak points. And again, it's one of these chip away fights. You have to do lots and lots and lots of damage in small increments over a large amount of time. You can, the enemy has powerful attacks. You can get taken out, but there are wake stones, so you can self-revive if you ever do get taken out. So it's not like, oh, I messed up and I didn't parry that shot, and so now I'm dead and I have to reload my save. No, if you mess up, you can just use a wake stone and pop yourself back up, but they are limited in terms of how many wake stones you can have. So you can't be terrible, but it is the most difficult combat in the game, and it is a bit of a grind. You have to just have a powerful character, have powerful weapons, have the right healing items and res items, and then you just have to grind through the combat for the 10 or 15 minutes that it's going to take, and you can get this one done. Another example of a hard achievement is to get ahead. This is 30 Gamerscore for acquiring a preserved Medusa head. So there is 1 Medusa enemy in the game. It does respawn on I think a 7-day in-game timer, but you need to kill it in a certain way very quickly to cut the head off, and then you'll have the head to use as an item. But if you don't do it fast enough, if you do too much damage to it before you kill it, then it won't be the preserved quality. It'll be a lesser quality, and that won't count for the achievement. So you need to have a really powerful build. You need to have a really good weapon, and I think you need to enchant it with lightning, which is what the Medusa is weak to, and the game never really tells you that. You have to discover that. So all of that combines to a difficult fight, to a difficult set of circumstances, to a 1 week recharge for doing this again if you mess it up, to get this achievement. For the most annoying achievement in the game, first place for this is very easy. It is Master of the Maesters, 90 Gamerscore, so at least a nice chunk of Gamerscore for this one, but it's to acquire all of the Maesters teachings. So each vocation in the game has a Maester skill, an ultimate ability. and they're kind of bad. They always have like a really big drawback, so they're not super useful. It's not like you get a ton of use out of them, but they're pretty cool. But you have to get all 9 of them for this one achievement, and the 9 of them all require very disparate paths. Like, I feel like you could have made this 9 achievements to get each one. Get the Maester teaching for the warrior and the Maester teaching for the mage and blah, blah, blah. That would have been a little bit more manageable because you could break it up. The way it is, some of them are easy. Some of them are just like, hey, meet this guy and you'll get it. Some is, hey, do 2 quests for this guy and then you'll get it. Some of them are very complicated. It's find this guy in a back road and then find a guy to send to him to complete a quest, and then find where he moved to complete a 3rd quest, and then he'll give it to you. And one of them is the worst achievement path in the game. It is a long, winding 9, 10, 12-step quest where one of the characters that you need could die off screen that you never know, and then you go to find them and they're not there. Well, guess what? You have to go to the cemetery to see that they died, to revive them with a wake stone so that you can continue the quest. And then you have to do it the right way. And this is the one where you have to turn in 5 books. And if you used a book as a spell, now you don't have it. And so you could have done all the other stuff, gotten the other 8 Maester teachings, and then you go to do this one, and you've messed it up by one of a dozen different ways, and now you're completely locked out of this achievement, and you have to do all of it over again in a New Game Plus playthrough. So super, super frustrating, super annoying. You kind of need a guide for this one. I highly recommend a step-by-step guide early so that you know you don't mess something up even when you go to complete it, so that you haven't gotten rid of an important item later on. Second, for the annoying achievements, I'm going to go with the Philanthropist. Just 10 gamer score for this one. It's to earn the affection of 50 NPCs. And this is annoying for a couple of reasons. You increase your affection with characters, with NPCs, by giving them gifts. And different characters like different gifts, and it's difficult to figure out who likes what. There's no in-game tracker, and it's not always intuitive. Like, you would think, oh, the guy who sells weapons might like weapons, or like, it's not super logical like that. And the tracker, like, so you can't say, oh, Smithy Jones, I gave 1 gift to, he's at 25%, I need to get him to 75%. Nope, you can't see that. That level of granularity isn't there. There is a tracker that says how many total people you've earned the affection of. So it'll say 7 people, 7 NPCs you've earned the affection of, but that tracker broke. So I got to about 7 or 9 and the tracker was working. I was earning affection, and then it stopped working. I could see in game, there's like a visual indicator when somebody is your friend, when you've earned their affection, and the tracker stopped going up. So that was unfortunate. And then, so it was hard to plan and execute. What I ended up doing was going to taverns in all of the major towns and buying rounds for people. And that gives you a nice big boost of affection for everybody in the bar at the time that you do that. I still think there's some jank here. I think even doing that, I got to maybe 40. I think it was less than that, but maybe 40, and the achievement unlocked. So if you're having trouble with this one, go to the 4 bars at the 4 major locations. Make sure there's people in there, right? Don't do it right at the start of the day. Make sure it's crowded. Buy a round, go to sleep, go to the next night, buy a round again. I think 2 rounds is enough to earn the affection of everybody in the bar. Maybe make it 3 if you want to be safe. And then if you do that in the 4 bars, at some point you should unlock this achievement. My final score for Dragon's Dogma 2, it's a 4 out of 10. And again, this is for the achievements, not the game. I liked the game. It's my style of game. It is fun and challenging and grindy and rewarding in its own way. But the achievements are just really frustrating. There's too many of them. They are too missable. They're too esoteric. They require too much focus on a guide. They're too easily, you have to, it encourages hoarding. Like, oh, if I threw that book away, or if I used that book, I can't do a quest 10, 15 hours later. It's just way too nuanced and fiddly and missable, and that makes it a bit unenjoyable for me when you're constantly playing the game, but you have to stop playing to make sure you're not messing up and missing and locking out an achievement that you would get from just normal playthrough, right? Not doing anything silly, not doing anything stupid, just like normal, natural advancement through the game can lock you out of achievements. It's way too easy to do that. So I am knocking this game down quite a few points to give it a 4 out of 10. It's not one I recommend if you're super achievement focused and you're not looking for something that you have to dedicate yourself to and be very careful and precise about. Thankfully, there is the New Game Plus. If you miss something, you can jump back in New Game Plus, power level through, and clean up on a second playthrough. But that's not super easy. Even that, there's a lot of grind and there's a lot of effort that you'll need to put in to get back to that point. So that's going to wrap this one up. Hopefully you found the video useful. Thank you for joining me, and I'll see you next time.